Hey everybody, I'm back to show you how to make an envelope for this card that I made in my last video. Now if you remember, the card measures 4 by 8.5. So what we're going to do is bring out our envelope punch board and we're going to look for our card size, which is in the middle column towards the bottom. And it tells me here that for a card size of 4 by 8.5, I need a piece of paper that measures 9 7/8 squared. And I need to score at the 3 3/8 mark on this punch board. So what I've done is taken a designer series paper at 9 7/8 squared, and you could actually go ahead and use cardstock for this as well. Now what I want to show you also is when you cut this piece of paper, you end up with more scrap. And the scraps, again, you could just make another card. Now I already started this, and what I'm doing here is I lined up at the 3 3/8 mark, I punched, and I scored. But what I wanted to show you was to be very careful over here because your paper extends farther than your scoreboard. And if you keep going, you can tear your paper. So just be wary and kind of slow and carefully stop here. So once you make your first punch and score, what I do is I turn 180 degrees. And the reason I do that is because if I only turn 90 and I try to line up that first score like we normally do on an A2 card, you'll see since it didn't reach all the way and I have no measurement, it's really difficult to gauge where. So if you did your first punch and score, rotate 180. So you're going to do the opposite side. Line it up to the 3 3/8 mark, punch, and score. Now, the easiest thing that I find for myself is on the two marks that I made, I actually fold those. So here's one, and then here's my second. So then I bring back the board and I pretend like I'm doing this again. So now, since here's my first one, rotating 90, I finished folding, so I have the remainder of this score. So what I'll do is I'll just line it up to the little notch and I will punch and score, and then rotate to that last side that we need to line up and do. So I'm lining up my notch to that fold, punch, and score. And now I can get rid of the punch board, and I can turn my paper and just fold the other two sides, and now you'll see that I have an envelope. But this piece is too long for my taste. And even if it were a little shorter and right under the score, I really don't like this to be so high. And I just eyeball what I'm about to do. What I do is I just trim. Now, if you're going to be a little bit finicky about this, you could take a ruler and just draw a line right above where you want your cut rather than right at it. And you can cut right below it so that pencil mark doesn't show. Let me line this up. Okay. Just make your mark, your pencil mark. And you go ahead and you cut just below the pencil mark so you don't have to do any erasing. There we go. Now that's more to my liking. Now this is a little bit long for me also. Now I have a few suggestions for this little tip here. You can either cut it straight across, or you can use any of our punches and create sort of a curved look maybe. So let's try our label punch. And what we can do is try to see if this will fit in here. And we would get a small bracket on the bottom. Now let's fold this up and see if it's short enough. It isn't short enough for me, so what I will do this time is just trim, because the other option is to go to the framelits and just put a design framelit down and cut that out. For now, let's just do that. Okay, now to adhere this, I like using the tear tape only because I know it's not going to let this envelope come apart. And I will just put some down here on these inside flaps. Hold them down and bring this up. And bring our card over and carefully tuck this in. Remember, you have your letters are popped, so you're going to be careful as you bring those in. You know what? It's easier also if you do this, so you don't get your popped letters bumping into the edges on this side of the envelope. And tuck. Oops. And fold. And there's our envelope. And now you can decorate this envelope, maybe add a second strip of paper or maybe a piece of ribbon on here. And maybe with a little tag. Punch out this and put a stamp on there. That'll all work. Now I'm not going to do that right now, only because I want to do my stamping and punching all in assembly line. So I will leave you with this, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. See you next time.